On January 23, 2018, a fictional television character died in a Crock-Pot fire. On the exact same day, the real company that made Crock-Pot watched its stock collapse for a completely unrelated reason. This isn't a story about a company that failed. It's a story about a kitchen appliance that briefly became one of the most talked about objects in America for the worst possible reason, sitting inside a much larger, much stranger story about an immigrant inventor, a stew that cooked itself overnight, and a corporate empire that has now swallowed 3 different brands on this channel alone. It started with a Jewish stew that cooked itself overnight and a man whose mother never stopped talking about it. Irving Naxon was born Israel Nahumson in 1902 in Jersey City, to parents who had immigrated from Lithuania. His mother told him stories about kolint, a traditional Sabbath stew that families would set to simmer before sundown on Friday and let cook, untouched, overnight, so nobody had to break religious law by cooking on the Sabbath itself. Naxon, an inventor with a restless mind who would eventually hold more than 200 patents across his lifetime, looked at that tradition and saw an engineering problem. What if you could build a machine that did the same thing, low and slow, unattended, safe to leave running while you were nowhere near the stove? He applied for a patent on May 21, 1936, and received it on January 23, 1940. It would take another decade, delayed by the Second World War, before his invention actually reached American kitchens, under a plain, forgettable name. The Naxon Beanery, built specifically to cook beans, nothing more ambitious than that yet. Naxon's inventing career ranged far beyond kitchens too, touching everything from early submarine sonar detection work during the Second World War to the signage technology that once lit up parts of Times Square, evidence that the slow cooker was really just one entry in a long, restless list of engineering curiosities. He sold the patent for a flat fee instead of a stake in the company. He would not be the last person in this story to make that exact trade. In 1970, Naxon retired and sold his business and his original patent outright to the rival company, taking a lump sum payment rather than any ownership stake in whatever rival eventually built with it. At the time, it must have looked like a perfectly sensible retirement. He was cashing out an invention that had, so far, done nothing more remarkable than cook beans slowly. He had no way of knowing what was coming next. There's no record that Naxon ever publicly expressed regret over the deal. By most accounts, he simply moved on, one invention among the hundreds he'd already filed, without any sense that this particular one was about to become a genuine household name in millions of American kitchens. Rival handed the project to an engineer named Alex McMaster out of Boonville, Missouri, with a specific mission: turn this simple bean cooker into something that could handle an entire family dinner, not just a single ingredient, and design the manufacturing line to build it by the millions. McMaster delivered. In 1971, Rival relaunched the reworked device under an entirely new trademark, one that would eventually become far more famous than Naxon's own name ever did. The Crock-Pot, bundled at launch with its own slow cooker recipe book, teaching an entire generation of American home cooks a genuinely new way to get dinner on the table. Sales climbed steadily through the 70s as word of mouth did most of the marketing, one satisfied home cook recommending it to the next at church suppers and neighborhood gatherings, the kind of organic growth no advertising budget could easily replicate. In 1974, Rival added removable stoneware inserts, a small design change that made the whole thing dramatically easier to clean, and turned a promising kitchen gadget into a genuine household fixture for decades to come. By the mid-1970s, the Crock-Pot had become so culturally embedded that entire cookbooks, church potluck traditions, and office holiday parties were quietly built around its particular rhythm. The idea that you could load ingredients in before work and come home to a finished dinner, a small domestic revolution that fundamentally changed how millions of working households approached the evening meal. By the time NBC's biggest drama killed off its most beloved character, the little bean cooker had already passed through 4 different corporate owners. Rival itself went private in 1986, returned to public trading in 1992, and became a subsidiary of Holmes Products Corporation in 1999. Jardine Corporation acquired Holmes Products in 2005, folding the Crock-Pot name into its own growing basket of consumer brands. Then, In 2016, Jarden itself merged with Newell Rubbermaid to form Newell Brands, the very same corporate parent this channel has already connected to two other stories, Sunbeam and Mr. Coffee. Three completely different kitchen brands, three completely different invention stories, all eventually funneled into that one modern conglomerate. If you've watched this channel's earlier episodes on Sunbeam and Mr. Coffee, you already know roughly how this chain of ownership tends to go, one respected American brand after another, absorbed into a larger and larger structure, until the original inventor's name barely appears anywhere in the company's own paperwork anymore. It's a pattern worth naming plainly, because it keeps repeating across this catalog. The invention survives, sometimes for a century or more, while the ownership above it churns through leveraged buyouts, mergers, and rebrands so many times that following the paper trail becomes its own small research project. One episode, one earnings call, the same 24 hours. On January 23, 2018, NBC's hit drama This Is Us aired an episode that finally revealed how Jack Pearson, arguably the most beloved character on the entire show, actually died. A fire caused by a faulty slow cooker, specifically a crock-pot. The reaction across social media was immediate and wildly disproportionate to a plot twist on a television drama. Panicked viewers openly discussed throwing away their own crock-pots. The brand name briefly became one of the top trending topics in the entire country, for a death that had never actually happened to anyone, anywhere, outside a writer's room. Within hours, think pieces and local news segments were asking, in complete seriousness, whether slow cookers were secretly dangerous, treating a plot device from a scripted family drama as though it were breaking consumer safety news. Wall Street didn't care that the crock-pot in the show was 20 years old and fictional. They just saw the stock falling, for reasons that had nothing whatsoever to do with the television plot. By pure, almost unbelievable coincidence, Newell Brands announced disappointing full-year financial guidance for 2018 on that exact same day, and the company's stock price plunged as much as 21 to 24% in a single trading session. A real corporate crisis and a fictional kitchen fire, colliding on the same news cycle, feeding the same panicked headlines, even though one of them had absolutely nothing to do with the other. Financial reporters covering the stock drop that week found themselves, almost against their will, having to explain in the same article that, no, the earnings miss and the television plot were entirely separate events. A strange kind of editorial whiplash that few companies ever have to manage in a single news cycle. It gets stranger. Wall Street analysts piled on almost immediately, and not because of the television show. Wells Fargo and JP Morgan both cut their price targets on Newell stock that same week. An analyst at Barclays wrote, in plain language, that the firm had simply lost confidence in the company. None of that had anything to do with a slow cooker fire on a Tuesday night drama. The stock decline reflected genuine concerns about Newell's broader business, a sprawling portfolio spanning everything from Sharpie pens to Rubbermaid storage containers to baby gear. And analysts were reacting to real strategic questions about how well that entire portfolio actually fit together, not to anything involving a fictional kitchen. But to anyone scrolling headlines that week, the two stories blurred together into one continuous impression of a company in crisis. Real financial trouble wearing the same headline space as a fictional kitchen accident. Newell Brands moved quickly to separate the two stories in public. The company issued a statement noting that in nearly 50 years and more than 100 million crock-pots sold, it had never received a single consumer complaint resembling the fictional event portrayed on the show, and that its slow cookers run on low current and low wattage, typically no more than 200 to 300 watts, with self-regulating heating elements built specifically to prevent exactly that kind of failure. The company's communications team reportedly worked through the following days, fielding an unusual volume of media inquiries for what was, at its core, a routine product safety reassurance, a sign of just how far the story had traveled beyond its actual substance. Even the show's own creator, Dan Fogelman, stepped in publicly to calm things down, clarifying on social media that the on-screen appliance was meant to be depicted as a 20-year-old unit with an already faulty switch, not a reflection of any current crock-pot, and asking fans, in his own words, not to lump all those lovely hard-working crock-pots together. Here's the detail that turns this from a simple panic story into something more genuinely strange. In that same stretch of bad headlines, as part of the broader corporate shakeup tied to the disappointing earnings, Newell Brands announced it was considering selling off other pieces of its portfolio entirely, brands including Rawlings and Rubbermaid Outdoors. Crock-Pot was not on that list. In the exact same week, its name was trending online over a fictional death. The brand itself was quietly confirmed. As one of the pieces of Newell's business, the company had no intention of giving up. There's an honest way to hold this story, the same way you might hold any moment where fiction and reality happen to collide by accident. One reading says, "This was nothing more than an unfortunate coincidence. Two unrelated headlines landing on the same day, amplified by social media into something that felt bigger than it actually was." The other reading says it reveals something genuinely fragile about even the most trusted, most established consumer brands. That one well-written scene on a popular drama could momentarily shake public confidence in a product with a nearly perfect 50-year safety record, faster than any amount of real-world data ever could. The truth probably holds both readings at once. The panic was irrational, built on a scripted scene rather than any actual incident. The panic was also, briefly, completely real. Real enough to trend online, real enough to draw a formal public statement from a Fortune 500 company, real enough that a television showrunner felt obligated to personally step in and calm his own audience down. Naxon himself never saw any of this unfold. He had sold his invention decades before Rival even existed as its owner, decades before Jarden, decades before Newell, and nearly half a century before a television writer's room turned his mother's Sabbath stew recipe into the reason a beloved character died on primetime television. The man who built the machine specifically so families could eat dinner without anyone standing over a hot stove all day never collected a cent of royalties from any version of it, watched or unwatched, real or fictional. His descendants have occasionally spoken to journalists over the years about the family's complicated relationship with that history. Proud of the invention itself, quietly aware that the financial upside of it all landed everywhere, except with the people who actually dreamed it up. 100 million crockpots sold, not one real fire, anything like it. It took a television writer's imagination to do, in a single scripted scene, what 50 years of actual daily use in actual American kitchens never came close to doing. The crock-pot sitting on your counter right now works exactly the way it always has, built on the same low-wattage, self-regulating design that made Newell's safety statement true the day they issued it. The company behind it survived an earnings collapse and a fictional kitchen fire landing on the very same Tuesday, and quietly kept the one brand in its portfolio that everyone briefly assumed might be in the most trouble. It's a strange kind of monument in the end, an appliance more famous for a death that never happened than for the actual dinners it quietly finished cooking in millions of kitchens every single night for over 50 years. If you own a crock-pot right now, or if you remember exactly where you were the night This Is Us aired that episode, drop a comment below. Tell us whether you thought twice about your own slow cooker, even for a second, and whether you are still using it tonight.